Hey guys, Holly here. This is day 15 of the 21 Day You Woke Up Worthy journaling experience. And today's day is about your emotional guidance system. I'm going to go ahead and knock this one out early today because I have a busy day, lots and lots to do, but I didn't want to skip a video. So, this is another chapter that really spoke to me personally. The author talks about how sometimes people get put down for being too emotional or too sensitive, but she describes our emotional natures as a superpower, and saying that emotions are really just energy in motion, and they're not good or bad, and it's healthy for us to just experience them, let the energy flow. And talks about how it actually takes courage and vulnerability to express what it is that you're feeling. And that's something that took a long time for me to learn. And this is one of those things that goes all the way back to, my earliest years and the influence of my father. He was, a tough guy that didn't show a lot of emotion and was always in control and whatever the case may be. But it was something that was also kind of, it influenced me as well. First of all, with my father being the way that he was the only person in the family that was allowed to have big feelings anyway. So if you were scared or pissed off or your feelings were hurt or whatever the case may be, you better just keep it to yourself, because those things tended to make him angry, and then that was a whole other mess to deal with. So got really good at bottling a lot of things up. And also there was the very flawed thinking, which I get now, but it was like there was this mentality that feeling sad or having your feelings hurt or whatever the case may be was weakness, and you weren't supposed to be seen as weak. So that was the other thing. So when I was younger, I was the ultimate tough guy. I didn't cry about things. I didn't get my feelings hurt about things. Nobody got to me. I didn't care. And the reality is I might have been crushed inside, but I never let people see that. And so even the people that were the closest to me, that I should have felt the most comfortable being vulnerable with and being honest with, I did not cry. I can remember, and it seems so silly when I say it now, but at the time it was it was really serious. It was a big deal to me. The first real serious boyfriend that I ever had, my first real love, there was a time where he was telling me kind of a heartbreaking part of his life, and I learned that he had an older brother that passed away in infancy, and this is a guy that grew up without a father, and this awareness that there had been an older brother that he never got to know. And he was telling me about a dream that he had where he dreamed he was with his brother, and it was one of those dreams where there was nothing special about it. If it was real life, it would have been almost boring. And he said he was in the bathroom shaving, and his brother was standing in there talking to him. And that was really it. It was just the most simple, basic thing. But it was something that he said it made him think, and he wondered if he had that older brother to look up to, would he be a better person? And it broke my heart, because I came to realize that this guy that I cared so much for, that I loved so much, that I thought the world of, did not love himself he thought very little of himself, and that just, it broke my heart, and I started to cry. We were sitting in his car talking, and I could feel tears stinging, and at first I was just doing everything I could to kind of, discreetly but then they were flowing a bit too much, and I'm finding myself frantically wiping, my face. And then I started feeling very scared, and I kept telling him, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry, I'm crying, I'm sorry, I'm crying. And he just kind of looked at me puzzled, and he said, why would you apologize for crying? And I didn't have the words to put it into. I knew that I should be apologizing for crying. I knew it was something I should be feeling bad about. It was only much, much later that I realized what I was actually feeling was fear. I was afraid that once I had cried in front of him and he had seen me as this weak, pathetic mess, that he wouldn't love me anymore. Because that was kind of what I had been taught about love by my father. And still, even with my boyfriend telling me, like, it's okay to cry, you shouldn't feel bad about it, don't be embarrassed, don't be ashamed, don't be sorry, still, it was too ingrained in me. So I could probably count on one hand the number of times that I cried in front of him during the time that we were together. I didn't cry with my best friend. I would barely cry with my mother. I just didn't. And I did everything I could to go dead inside. And here's the thing that I've learned. You don't really go dead inside. You might be really, really good at mashing it all down, but it's there. And something that she said in here that really hit me, she said, I think many of us are afraid to express our emotions out of fear that if we allow ourselves to feel them, then they'll stick around for good. It's not true. In fact, it's the opposite. When you allow your emotions to be what they are, energy and motion, you get to choose your next emotion. You get to feel the pain or the hurt or all the good stuff, and then decide what you'd like to feel next. If a situation doesn't feel good, you now are more equipped to get out of it than you were before when you were holding everything inside. Unexpressed emotion takes up a lot of space and creates stress in your body unnecessarily. It's much easier to let it flow through you as it's meant to. That really hit close to home for me because I've had this experience. My fiance and I have been together for almost 6 years now. And if you talk to people that knew me earlier in my life, most of them would say that I am not a person that cries easily. I'm still kind of that tough guy, and in some ways I still am and always will be. I do handle certain things better. I'm able to tap into a very practical place and not be completely ruled by emotion. But I'm better now at balancing letting myself actually feel things. But, people that knew me before, like I said, would say, I'm not much for crying. If you ask my fiance, he'll tell you I cry at everything. And to a degree, it's true. And it can be a happy cry. It can be a sad cry. It can be a compassionate cry. But tears come so easily now. Too easily sometimes. Now it's almost like the dam is broken and I can't stop the flood. And it's like I've said to Ryan, is sometimes I feel like now I'm crying all the tears that I didn't let myself cry. 35 years of not letting myself cry. And then the last 5 years I am just, weeping. Almost every day. almost every day I feel the sting of tears at some point, whether I actually cry or not, which is just crazy to me. So I'm hoping to find a little bit more balance, but right now, anything that makes me even remotely emotional, and it doesn't have to be bad emotion, but anything that makes me emotional, I'm crying. Yeah. So, I saw the actress Kristen Bell on Ellen once, and some of you have probably seen this video of her just sobbing because her husband surprised her with a sloth at her birthday party. And it's a really funny video. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. But what I remember is her talking to Ellen and saying, you know, what you have to know about me is that if I am not somewhere between, I think she said like a 5 and a 7 on the emotional scale, she's crying. She's crying if she's too sad, she's crying if she's too happy, and that's what I've turned into. So I'm hoping that, as I'm working on some of this stuff and getting more comfortable about talking about it, what I'm feeling, that maybe some of that will tone down, because I don't want to just cry all the time. So I think I've actually also had a bit of an aha moment, like just now as I said that. It seems that when I cry, it's usually when I am trying to tell somebody something. When I'm expressing something that makes me feel something is when I get the most emotional. Like, for example, if I'm reading a poem that would make me feel something, I can read the poem without crying. But if I'm trying to tell somebody, oh, you should hear this amazing poem that, really touched me because it made me think of whatever, that's when I cry. I think the thing that actually makes me cry is I'm still struggling with the expressing the feelings. I think I sometimes feel a little bit overwhelmed, or there's part of me that still feels like I shouldn't be expressing that. So I guess that's what I'm really hoping to work on. Food for thought. So the prompts for the day, she says, close your eyes and pay attention to how you feel in this moment. Are you sad, tired, nervous, happy, etc.? Allow yourself to turn the volume up on that emotion and feel it, even if it's uncomfortable, and reflect on your experience. I think I'd feel like a bit of a goof just sitting here with my eyes closed doing this, so I probably won't do that. But what am I feeling right now? So a lot. I usually am. So I'm feeling anxious for the rest of the day. I have got a lot going on. I've got a lot to do. We are possibly having some big changes coming up in life pretty soon, and need to kind of prepare for some of that. So I'm anxious about my day. I'm feeling conflicted. At the end of the month, there's a person who kind of used to be in my life but isn't really too much anymore, and she's having a birthday, and I kind of cut her out of my life a while ago, and I felt it was necessary at the time, but I'm wondering if perhaps I was a little too harsh, but I don't know if that's me falling back into bad old habits or if I was genuinely too harsh. So I might be asking some advice from a friend. I am feeling a little emotionally drained. There's been a lot of kind of stressful stuff going on, and I need to get some things sorted out career-wise, but then also, again, there's some changes we may or may not be making, which will have a big impact on what my next steps will be. I'm excited / nervous about my upcoming trip to Mexico. I'm really looking forward to finally getting all of my dental work done, so I'm excited about that. But I'm also a little anxious because I have a feeling there's going to be some pain involved with that. I'm not looking forward to that. Also, and I shouldn't be this way, but I get nervous about leaving Ryan behind for a few days, just because, you know, I take care of a lot of things for him, and then I feel bad if I'm not there to take care of him. He's perfectly capable of doing most of it on his own, and, you know, he'll figure it out. He lived a whole lot of life before he met me, so I have to assume that he'll survive me being gone for 5 days. But it still worries me a bit. Mom's had some stuff going on with her that, again, weighs on my mind. I'm worried about her and if she's doing okay. I am feeling guilty because I don't keep in better contact with my brother. That I feel like we don't talk as often as we should. We're very different people, and so we just usually don't have a lot in common to talk about, but I still feel like I should, you know, reach out to him more often. I think that's kind of, I'm happy with a lot of the progress that I've made. I'm surprised by some of it and almost proud of myself. I'm anxious to continue and see where else this takes me and how it will improve other areas of my life. So I think that's kind of it for what I'm feeling right now in this moment. What was it like allowing yourself to really feel your emotions? Okay. It's still not my favorite thing. It's still something that I struggle with. I'm not the most comfortable with, but I'm getting there. It's definitely getting easier. And what emotions would you like to feel next? I would like to feel a little bit calmer. I'd like to be able to let go of some of the anxiety. I do know that it is helping me to talk about it and to express certain feelings, because I know that in the past, if there was something that was making me feel anxious, I'd bottle it up and I'd not say anything. And then, oh goodness, so sorry. And then something would happen, you know, some straw that broke the camel's back situation, and I would find myself maybe snapping at Ryan or being short-tempered with my mother or whatever the case may be. And it really wasn't about whatever it was that made me snap. It was just about the fact that I was just so high-strung. I was so just on the edge because of all of the things that were unsaid that, you know, finally I just snapped. And it's not something that I like about myself. So now I'm trying to be better about, in the moment, saying, I'm upset about this. I'm freaking out because of this. I'm feeling anxious because of this. And in doing that, it's keeping me from getting so built up that I blow up. So that's something I'm really happy about, but I want to do even better with it. I realize that we still need to have filters in life, and it's not always a good idea to just go around saying everything that you're feeling every second of the day. but when it matters, and when it makes sense, I need to make sure that I'm always working on saying whatever it is that needs to be said, so that I'm not bottling anything up and having it blow out later. So I think that's it for the day for me. Just time to do the good old daily affirmations and bring today to a close. I am 100% worthy. Simply by waking up, I am worthy of everything my heart desires. I am a beautiful soul inside and out. I love myself deeply and completely. I am perfect at being me. See you tomorrow.